In the first ever meeting between the Liberty Flames and the Virginia Tech Hokies, it was the Hokies prevailing 36-13 over the Flames. Alongside Matt Kamiri, my name is Nick Pierce here in Blacksburg as we put a lid on this one here and kind of go back, play a little armchair quarterback and evaluate what we saw here today. Matt, I think a mixed bag of things is typically what you see in your first game. We saw some good. We saw some not so good on both ends of the football, but we'll start with some of the positives here for Liberty. Defensively, I thought played one of their better games that we've seen here over the last year or two, really, especially from the secondary and the defensive line.
Yeah, the defensive line, Nick, played a great game defensively. They were able to hold Virginia Tech for a while. Liberty even had the lead until Gerard Evans started getting his rhythm. Juwan Wells played a heck of a game. He really did. Chris Turner on the back end. We talked about it on the radio broadcast before we started the game, that he had to have a big game to hold Isaiah Ford. Isaiah Ford makes his plays, but I thought Chris Turner played a great game overall.
Yeah, Chris Turner was all over him most of the game. Juwan Wells, you mentioned him, 9 tackles, including a sack. The Flames had the lead in the second quarter of this game. It was 13-10, despite some penalties, some not so clean play from the Flames, but early on they did have a lead. They were in this game. What changed? Where did it get away?
I just think it was Gerard Evans decided to take over the game, and the defense started playing better for Virginia Tech. You saw Kenny Cannon make a lot of good plays. That front seven for Virginia Tech, the entire defense, it's a Bud Foster defense. It's going to make its plays. I thought they just stepped it up. They started shutting down some of Liberty's stuff. But we did see some good things out of the run game as the entire thing went on. The run game, if they get holes, Todd Macon, Carrington Mosley, Frankie Hickson, they find holes. We see that is possible, and they have 1 week to get everything corrected and face Jacksonville next week.
13 penalties for 75 yards in this game. A lot of false starts from the offensive line. A lot of inexperience on that offensive line as well. Some guys shifted around with an injury or two. But overall, as a former offensive lineman, what'd you see?
Yeah, well, the young guys sort of came into this environment. It was intimidating at the beginning of the game, and they were ruckus. The crowd was ruckus. We knew it would be. But these young guys, again, they'll grow into it. There's a lot of leadership on that offensive line. I think they're going to be okay. I know they're going to be okay. I thought Dante Duff played a great game. He had one bad snap, but other than that, I think he played a clean game up front, was able to fit on his assignments. And going against that front seven again for Virginia Tech is not an easy task.
No doubt. And after the ball game, we did have a chance to catch up with Flames starting quarterback Stefan Masha. Masha's numbers here today finished 9 of 25 for 70 yards passing with a couple of interceptions. Masha had this to say after the ball game.
Yeah, it's very frustrating. But, it's the first game of the season. Mistakes are going to happen. You just got to build off it, learn from it, watch film, and just execute next week.
We've all got stuff we got to work on. I feel like next week we're going to come back and we're going to be really excited. We're going to just go. We're just going to move forward. We're not looking back. We're looking at the next week's game now. That's all of our focus, and we're going to work harder offensively and defensively to get better and better and better. And the plan is when we step out on the field at home against Jacksonville is to dominate the whole entire game.
I like the way our guys fought. Obviously, Virginia Tech's a very, very good football team, and they hung in there and they made more plays than we did. But, again, we'll bounce back. We're going to learn from this game, and we'll be ready to press on next week, and we'll be a better football team from this ball game. So it's good to play a first game. You never know how your team's going to respond and be. And so it's very excited to have a first ball game now. We know where we're at and what we have to work on.
So there you have it again. Final score 36-13, Virginia Tech over Liberty. We heard from Stefan there. Matt, what do you want to see from Stefan next week as he tries to improve?
I want to see him be a little more consistent in the pass game. I think that's one thing he can definitely work on. We saw flashes of greatness 2 years ago in Stefan, and we know he's got the game. We mentioned it again in the pregame show for radio, that if he stays within his game, he can be a great athlete, and we know he can. I'd like to see next week him work out the little bugs with, timing with routes, and then, if he's going to hand the ball, the reads and everything that he's making off the tackles and everything. I'd like to see him sort of time those a little better going into next week's game against Jacksonville.
Jacksonville and Liberty will meet at 7 o'clock inside Williams Stadium 1 week from today in Lynchburg. For now, in Blacksburg, alongside Matt Kamiri, my name is Nick Pierce for the Liberty Flames Sports Network.